There's a new viral video trend.
It appears to have slipped Mr. Roosevelt's mind that Palestine is not being occupied by German troops, but by English ones. By brute force, England is curtailing Palestinian freedom and is robbing the Palestinians of their independence to the advantage of Jewish intruders for whose cause the Palestinians suffer the most cruel of abuses. The Arabs living in this territory assuredly have not complained to Roosevelt of German aggressions. Rather, in persistent appeals to international public opinion, the Arabs lament the barbaric methods by means of which England seeks to overpower a people who loves its freedom and fights only to defend it. And this may well be one of the problems Mr. Roosevelt would like to see solved at the council table. It ought to be decided by an impartial judge and not by brute force, military means, mass executions, the torching of villages, the dynamiting of houses, and so on. One thing is certain. In this case...
Hello, the English speakers, and welcome to the North Border Street, Norra Gränsgatan. So then, you know, we are passing that, and then you're on the north of the border, I guess. And here you see some pines, and the pine without any needles. That's, of course, not the pine, but a larch. So let's start by taking a big, deep breath and cross the border of the road to the north. So if you saw the intro here, that was from Eric Warszaw, and he is noticing that a lot of people are listening to old speeches of Hitler in English, of course, because they don't speak good German, and they are noticing that he says wise things about, for example, the Palestine question. So people are changing. Yesterday I accidentally said wrong in Swedish. I called the very old pine in Hornslandet, sorry, the Horn land. I called it an oak, but we have oaks here. We will pass one pretty soon. But they don't grow here, as you know. And there is a very nice oak in Uddevalla. So that is 700 years, like the pine up here in Hälsingland. But Uddevalla, which is a town that used to be in Norway, but now in western Sweden. Uddevalla is just 500 years old. So 1496 it was mentioned for the first time. And the oak is 200 years older than the city. So that's a ridiculous new town. It was a trading post much earlier, but I used to live in a very small village that was, at least, it was mentioned the first time in the 13th century. And it's a small town, small village with a church, and it has been inhabitants since the Bronze Age, where they have found that it was a ritual place, basically. And this little village is also famous because there was an airliner that landed there in Gottröra. So Gottröra is famous for not having an airport, but still a plane landed there safely on the fields, and everyone survived, but well, the plane crashed. I also said something wrong in my joke yesterday, so let's correct my joke. Vall in Swedish does not mean pasture, it means lay. So that's where you grow grass and clover for the animals, but you don't let the animals graze there. You just harvest their food there on the lay. That's vall or slåttermark in Swedish. Neil Zhu is a Chinese man living in USA, and he writes and explains, for example, Larry Ellison and how he was created by CIA and the deep state, and how he supports Israel. Good article, I would say, and another reason to warn Ellison, and I will warn everyone who is undeleted on X. you need to make people aware that X is deleting people like me and steal my money. And raise this question because you are next. I don't expect everyone to, help me. I can't ask that of, everyone. But if you are on X or know people who are there, they need to protect themselves by reinstating my account and people like me. So that's my plea, but not a plea, a warning. If you want to hear some gas libel corrected, so you can hear all about the gas chambers that didn't exist and how much they have taken back their previous arguments about gas chambers and all sorts of torture to death apparatus that never ever existed, at least not in the German concentration camps. So 5 minutes of very important information, because if that narrative breaks, a lot of the other narratives will also fall when you realize that you can't trust these people. So all these redactions have, of course, been very quietly taken back. They just don't mention them anymore without any excuse for lying for decades. Dr. Wojek has presented 4 articles about the myths on vaccines. I will reinstate that there is only one argument you should use. These articles are interesting about how vaccines didn't solve anything and how much more dangerous they are than are said, and so on. But the only argument you need to repeat is that every big randomized control study with a true placebo have shown that the vaccinated group always is more sick of all causes, all of them. And if they try to change the subject to some of these 4 different kinds of scams about the vaccines, just repeat the argument. The RTC studies show that you get more sick of all causes by any vaccine. Candace Owens, one of her viewers, noticed something really horrible, but it feels true. So it's a speculation, of course. But the Macrons, they sued Candace Owens with this ridiculous lawsuit that they can't win. Why did they do that? Normal people would think, to make her quiet. No, if you think like a sociopath, then you think like this. Let's sue her and present all this fake imagery or fake, statements, lies, and then you murder her, and then she can't defend herself. And then you smear her, her dead body, basically. So that's how they do it. They build the narrative before they do the murder. Haredi. These are these ultra-Orthodox Jews, and they refuse to do any military service, or actually they do military service according to them by reading the Torah over and over again, because that is really helping the war effort, one would think. So they are a cancer, and Israel, they are a cancer on the Israeli state. So I'm not saying that they are like cancer, but for the Israeli state, they are. They are multiplying very fast, they don't work, and they demand everything from the other Jews in Israel, and they don't think that Israel should exist either. So how can Israel survive them if they become the majority of Israelis? So now Netanyahu tries to make them serve in the military. So expect false flags. Netanyahu will, of course, try to murder them and blame the Iranians or the Palestinians or whatever, because that's how Netanyahu thinks. And another way to think, if you heard this Miss Rachel that have this horrible opinion that children should be allowed to live. So let me give you Eva Barlow's take on that. Here you see an oak, which is, you can see some leaves there at least, that have been planted here quite a long time ago, even though it's pretty small. Eva Barlow, so then you know that the bar is low here. She has got the update now. She's not saying that it's anti-Semitic, but she does say that this thinking of Miss Rachel, that is blood libel. That's the new one, as I have taught you. And I also talked about how you should really make sure to make fun of that. So you could, now Miss Rachel did the standard mistake that too many people are doing. It's not anti-Semitic. Don't say that, ever. Because first of all, you are promoting the word anti-Semitic, which is a satanic word, and it means it's wrong, basically. It says nothing. Only Zionists can be anti-Semitic, so that's the first. And never ever say that you are not something that will just encourage your enemies. But what if Miss Rachel had been honest and said the right thing? That would have pissed off the Jews even more. She could have said, it is actually very hateful against Jews if you say that children are allowed to live, because they can't do their religion, which is human sacrifice. And if you say that, you will be maybe the anti-Semite of the year, which would be nice to be, maybe. One of the biggest problems, or the biggest benefits for Israel, is that their opposition is useless. The opposition is just virtue signaling and saying that they don't want any wars, they want everyone to be nice, and Israel just refuse. And then the obvious solution is to start murdering them. But that is of course not something that the opposition to Israel wants, because they are against wars, and therefore Israel can do whatever they want. So they are what KGB called useful idiots. So that's a technical term for people that can do that. But KGB doesn't exist anymore, so maybe you should learn to update your language. You know that USAID, they are still getting 51 billion US dollars per year, so it's not dissolved. And they are calling these useful idiots individuals susceptible to capacity building. So that's what USAID calls useful idiots. Individuals susceptible to capacity building. So these are the, for example, trans activists in Africa. They are these useful idiots. I mean, the individuals susceptible to capacity building, and then you give them money, and then you control them, and then you can stage your color revolution, smuggle drugs, or do whatever you want. The People's Voice is a publication that you should always ignore. Everything they post is fake news. And if you don't see that and you trust that they are maybe sort of right, no. They are lying, and it's some sort of psyop. And in this case, they were talking about a French military insider that were speaking out on a video. That video is fake. So warning for that. And another warning. Do you really want the ice giants to come back? This cat doesn't. Meow. Meow. Very busy cat, obviously. In English, people are saying hump day, and that is annoying. Don't do that. It's Odin's Day, or Woden, as he was called in Old English, so that becomes Wednesday. But that's okay. There are even more stupid languages. German, for example, very stupid language. They say Mittwoch. That is in the middle of the week. And Wednesday is not even in the middle of the week. That's Thursday, today. So enough of that. I don't think I will sacrifice my eye like Odin just to keep his day. But I can sacrifice a nail, for example. Not a cat, of course. I will never sacrifice a cat. That is digging for something. Something really interesting. Sorry, I will not disturb your hunt for whatever it is. So there are some other languages that are even more stupid than German. They call it the third day. So that's at least correct instead of Mittwoch. I also am irritated. When I was a kid, all these camels, they had 2 humps, not just 1. So shouldn't the week have 2 hump days? I don't know. But I have not ridden on a camel. I have ridden on a dromedary is the English word. And in the end, if you want to learn about more wild cats, you should study lynx boxes. Yes, lynx, they really love boxes because they are also cats. So good way to trap cats. If you want a tiger, lion or a lynx, just put out some cardboard boxes and you will catch a cat every time. They can't resist them.